It's been a while, but I have been wanting to review this deck for almost a year now. So I might be a little bit behind in terms of it having not just come out, but I know that there's a lot of people, I've seen them in the chats talking about they're on the fence about buying this tarot deck, and I thought it was timely enough to go ahead and do a review on this deck, which I love so much. And I'm talking about the Shadowland Tarot by Monica Bodirsky. And as you can see, this comes in a really nice, sturdy, big box. On the back, there's a little bit of a behind the creation of the deck. Kind of talks about the different aspects of the deck, how it is a good deck for not just shadow work, but for true daily reads as well. I'm going to tell you, I've been using this deck off and on for a while now, and it is shameless. It will tell you the bold truth, but it'll do it in a way that you can handle it. It has a little bit of whimsy. It has a little bit of sadness. It has everything that you want in a tarot to get a nice, true, honest read from. So I want to get into looking at this deck, and I don't want to wait anymore. So without further ado, the Shadowland Tarot by Monica Bodirsky. So the first thing that I noticed upon opening the box was the cute book that comes with it. And when I started to lift it out, thinking that it was just going to be a thin pamphlet, it turned out to be a very solid, thick, wonderful manuscript of goodness. And I love this book so much that we're going to save it for the end, and we're going to get into the deck. An honest review of this deck is that it has its dark side, but it has its playful side, and all around is relatable. If you know how to read the Rider-Waite-Smith system, you can read this deck with no problem at all. The drawings are done very much in that manner. You'll be able to recognize the symbolism right away. Okay, we'll get back to the book. As I said, love this book. Oh my gosh, the book. Okay. Unfortunately, we're going to start off right away with a con. And I don't like to do that with this deck because everything else I'm going to say about this deck is going to be great from now on. However, upon getting my deck and trying to get it out of the little box, I have already nicked a corner. And I was brokenhearted about that it marred that easily, just trying to get the deck out of the box for the very first time. So, that being said, also, gilding looks nice on this deck. Honestly, I don't think that it needed. It might have been a little bit of overkill. I love a good gilded deck where it's appropriate. But honestly, this one could have gone a black matte or even just been left to its own devices. It didn't need the gild. And as a result, I have gild that I have scratched, and it might not have been so noticeable. Okay, so like I said, one of the things that you're going to notice about this deck right away, let me get this box out of the way, is that it pulls no punches. I don't know if I'm going to go through the entire deck of 78 cards, but we're definitely going to look at a few of these, just so you can see how our Fool is turned into a seeker. And as the Fool begins its journey, we know that they are about to learn some lessons in life. And so the seeker is as well, except for in this instance, he doesn't look as reckless. He's already lost his head and is counting on his guide to give him wisdom to see what lies ahead for him. Now she uses, like an ink and watercolor drawing for this for this deck, and that is her style, is the ink and watercolor, and I just really think that just lends so much to the character of the card. Look at that. All right. Oh, and the backs, reversible. We love reversible backs. They're cute little bats with little swirlies, but so if you read reversals, you're not going to know. I love a good reversible back. That's good. All right. So just going to flip through these, and I'll stop at a couple of different points, but I really I enjoy the childlike innocence that this deck has on the surface, but then when you start, really looking into the detail in the card, like, okay, here we have the Empress. We see our fertile myrtle here, and, but there's a bat and a skull hanging in the tree. So, there's what looks like a nice, innocent, fertile scene, does carry a little bit of darkness. There's always something lurking in the background. Again, this is a really good deck for shadow work, in that it can deliver some hard truths with a little bit of color and character. The Emperor. I love this Hierophant card. Kind of reminiscent of Native American lore. You can see the pine trees and stuff in the background. The Great Spirit. The Lovers. The Chariot. I like this one too. A good, control your destiny. Control your little spiders. Now, this is an interesting card. When you look at the strength card, the Rider-Waite version has a maiden and a lion. And I've paused on this card in other decks before as well. I'm always interested to see how they're depicted. And I love this duality as a two-headed monster. One side being kind of a beast and the other side being a beauty. And which, this one has actual muscle, and this one is holding a kitten. Obviously kind and loving. So it's the duality. I really think that's a wonderful card. Oh, the Hermit. Here you go. What's more hermity than a ghost? And this is a playful deck, too, that can be brought out for, your Halloween tarot reading. It, because it does have kind of a bats and, ghouls and little monster vibe to it. So, those of you who like to match their tarot up seasonally, and I do, I'm like that. However, this, there's nothing that says you can't use this one for every day. It's very honest. The Hanged Man. Death. The Plague Doctor. Boy, we can really, and it's interesting because when I started taking notes for this deck, it was in March of 2020. And we all know what was going on in March of 2020. So we were just getting started with the pandemic and everything else. And, that's kind of where I stopped doing videos in that, because the anxiety just kind of overtook me. And this Plague Doctor is very representative of that time now. Temperance. That being the key word. It's really, really great. Look at this guy. Got his headphones on, having a beer, and just letting the city burn. I think this is a great tower card too. This guy has the tools to help himself, but he's using it all wrong. Maybe he'll figure it out before it's too late. I love this one, especially with the hair in her face. The moon. Little witch and little lobster. That's really cute. These cards are just amazing. The sun. This horse has a whole lot of legs. Discretion. I like that they chose to use the word discretion instead of judgment. Her choice of using that word shows that you're to put a more positive spin on that word. Instead of using judgment against someone, you need to use discretion and check your own judgments. That's a much better word for this card, I think, and in a way it's a kinder card than straight up judgment. The World. Love those red shoes. She's sassy and got it all together. Gonna take it all on. All right, so that ends the major arcana. Now we have our suits. I think instead of going through all of the suits, because, you know, you want to be surprised by some of this stuff. You decide to get this deck or already own this deck, then, you know, you don't need to see every card because you know the cards. So we'll just separate these by category here real quick. So we've got the cups, we've got the pentacles, we've got the swords, and we've got the wands. And the cards, again, like I said, if you're accustomed to Rider-Waite, then, you know, you're going to recognize these right away. I'm just lifting it up to show you an example of the fact that these cards are very true to the Rider-Waite system. So, again, if you're familiar with that system, then you should have no problem with reading these cards for this deck at all. All right, so now you love the deck. You've gone out and bought it, and you get it home, and you open the box, and the first thing you see is this wonderful, wonderful guidebook. Papling. This book, y'all. Okay, first of all, I own a lot of tarot decks, and I mean like a ridiculous amount of tarot decks. I'm not going to guess at a number because it would probably make me cry, but a lot of decks. Out of all of my tarot decks that I own, this deck, this book for this deck is my favorite, hands down. Not only is it a fun read, it has personality, it is very user-friendly. There's a full color illustration for each of the cards. So Monica herself gives a quick little blip on what her deck is, and it says right out that it's a deck for creative individuals who are willing to explore the realm of imagination and are able to truthfully address shadows. Like its creator, the deck is blunt with a dry wit. So if you're looking for fuzzy kittens and airbrushed art, turn back now. So And she goes on to say that the drawings resemble the awkward love child of Edward Gorey and Wednesday Addams. So she's very honest about the type of deck, the type of artwork that she's using to convey her message here. And I just love it. I find it refreshing. Again, her style of writing is very easy. It flows very well. There are full color illustrations of each and every card. There is a 2-page description for each and every card. She not only gives us keywords, she goes into what a shadow message might be. She goes into some reflections to use while pondering this card that you've pulled up in a reading. All of this is beyond helpful. A lot of decks come with the little white book that has 3 or 4 little blippy words that say, keyword, love, family, friendship, whatever. This goes so much more past that. Also gives you the, so you've got, your upright meaning, which is the straight meaning, and you've got your shadow meaning, which would be a reversal, or to look at, and I don't know if reversal is the right way to look at these cards. You can look at the shadow side of this card to address problems that you're going through, regardless of how the card is turned, because the cards have that, okay, hello, Shadowland feel to it. So there's always the darker side of the message lurking in the background. And I think that's pretty much the point of the deck. Again, full color pictures and a 2-page spread for every single card. When you get into the suits, is she going to cave and do it together? Nope. You still get 2 pages for every single card. Okay, so this was really thought out, this book. She wants people to use this book. She wants people to understand how to use this book. And she wants this deck to help you. So I don't know about you, but when I first saw the pictures of the cards, that spoke to me immediately, because you're attracted to a certain style of art. And that, so obviously, I'm kind of a cats and bats kind of person anyway. So just seeing the back art was enough to sell me on the deck. I got to be honest with you. When I got the deck and started going through it, I was floored by how accurate it was immediately. The very first reading I ever did with it was dead on. Dead on. When I have a deck that works that quickly for me without taking the time to get to know it, then I know that this deck wants to be used. This is a high energy deck, and I highly recommend it. You will not be disappointed, but be prepared for the honesty that you get out of it as well. So she goes on for, different ways that you can use the cards. There's, the methodology to it. How to bond with your cards. For me, it was instantaneous, but, I do usually keep the cards next to my bedside for, a couple of nights after I buy them. And they do pick up on your vibrations the more you use them, even if you just sit and shuffle. So I put this deck back in order to do this video, but believe me, the deck is used. And it's holding up pretty well for shuffling. I'll say that. So let's get back to this. Wait, I'm going to stick with hold on. We'll get back to that. We're going to book first. Okay. So, when to time, a reading, what time of the day or what time of, your week is a good time to, work in doing a reading. Some people think that they have to read for every single decision that they make in their life, and you don't. You can read, if you need something. You can read if you want to, gain more information on something that happened to you during the day. You can read to process. You can read for inspiration. There's no set way of how to use your cards. So it also even gives some tips on, which moons and what kind of energy you can expect your cards to react with. How to ask your questions so that you can understand the message that the cards are trying to give you. I just really loved this book. The book is so amazing. So, and then this kind of breaks down the the suits, what they stand for, what they in general represent, and then some just, quick numerology. It's spiritual hygiene, how to cleanse yourself, how to cleanse the cards, reversals. Even she says she does not read reversals with Shadowland Tarot, since each card holds both positive and more challenging attributes. So, like I said, that was definitely the vibe that I get from the deck as well, is that you really don't need to read reversals, even though you have reversible backs. Card layouts. She's got a few spreads in here. Moon cycle spreads. A 13 moon spread, basically like a year-long kind of read. You're not going to do something like this every day, but it's in there to do if you want to. It's a great thing to do around New Year's, to kind of set up, what you're looking at for the year ahead, or as a reflective spread to look at what you've gone through for the past year. This is a one-time thing. You're not going to do these types of 13 card spreads. I mean, if you want to, knock yourself out, baby, but I really don't think that it's worth it to draw that much energy from yourself too often on a spread like that. So, that's just my opinion. Tarot frequently asked questions. I loved this. This addresses all those, myths. Oh, do I have to buy my own, or does somebody have to give them to me? All the questions that we hear all the time in the chat groups, they're all addressed in here. I love that. This is information that she didn't need to give, but it's there. It's just amazing. So again, it would be worth it for the book alone. This is available on every retailer site. So I wanted to get back into these and talk about the finish on these again real quick. Considering the fact that I just assured you that these cards are used a lot, the gilding is really holding up well, at least on the sides. Just that one card got marred, like I said, when I was getting it out of the box. But aside from that, they are holding up pretty well. The cards, they move very easily. They don't stick together, so that's good. I like a deck that's easy to shuffle. I have RA, so my hands hurt sometimes, and I definitely will choose a deck that I can shuffle easily over a deck that I've got to struggle with separating anytime. And so this is definitely a go-to deck for the fact that it's easily shuffled. In summary, I would give this one 2 thumbs up. I absolutely would recommend this deck. Again, it's available just about anywhere, but we'll put some links in the bottom of the comment section there. I hope you enjoyed this review of the Shadowland Tarot by Monica Bodirsky, and I hope to see you guys next time. Thanks.